I used to despise anime like my life depended on it, until I bore witness to 6 pieces of anime that completely changed my perspective on that medium in general. And most of them I watched just this year. I was never into the Japanese style of animation. To be honest, I'm not into animation that much in general. As a kid, I loved Yu-Gi-Oh! Was obsessed with Yu-Gi-Oh! Dude, when these 3 teamed up in the Pyramid of Light movie or whatever, that was my No Way Home. I was a Bakugan fan, a Beyblade fan, Avatar The Last Airbender fan. A lot of my friends were into Naruto, Dragon Ball Z, Bleach. They were like, Zavi, come on, watch Bleach. Now, as the years went by, I stopped with animation. Then, when the lockdowns occurred, my friends made me watch stuff like Castlevania and Blood of Zeus. I liked both. This is all American media, right? For some reason, when it came to Japanese animation, I couldn't take it seriously. I just couldn't get into it. I didn't like it. There was something off about it to me. Ever since my friends were trying to get me into One Piece, and then they told me, okay, listen, give it 100 episodes before it really gets going. Give it 100, give it 200 episodes, Effie. I'm like, whoa, what the fuck? You think I have infinite amounts of time in the world? I'm not doing this. The little I saw from Japanese anime, I thought there was a lot of filler, pacing issues, it was very slow paced, exposition throughout the show to the point where I couldn't take it seriously because I'm used to dialogue that's very different, and thought dialogue. And what I mean by that is, when characters are in the middle of a battle or there's some important scene going on with a lot of tension, they tend to have thought bubbles in their head which they narrate and they show it to the audience. And I was just like, I can't get with this. I can't get on the program, man. I'm sorry. What's up with these people monologuing mid-punch? I've had a 2-year journey into going through anime. You guys have recommended me a lot of shit. My cousins and friends have made me watch a lot of shit. And I want to touch on some of those today, alright? I want to give a shout out to some honorable mentions, though, before I go into this, right? Look Back was an anime movie I saw this year. This is one of the saddest stories I've ever seen in my life. And apparently they're making a live action movie about this. I ain't watching that shit. I'm sorry. Really fucking well done, though. Really, really well done. Chainsaw Man, the Reze arc. I made a whole video on that. Enjoyed it. Batshit insane. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. I haven't finished it. Look, there's some shows on this list I haven't finished, mind you. There's a lot of episodes, okay? But man, I really enjoyed it. I really love Edward as a main character. I love the 7 sins, those cosmic entities that show up. It's pretty dark, too. The origin story of these characters. There's one episode, you know the one, when you look at this visual, you know the one, Full Metal Alchemist fans. It's surprisingly dark, despite being very lighthearted and kiddie at times. It's very, very dark. I love the music, I love the characters, love this show. Now we're gonna get into the 6 anime. This is not just TV shows, this is movies as well, I'm counting, alright? These changed my perspective on anime entirely, okay? I didn't think anime was like serious, mature shit until I saw this, alright? Vampire Hunter D. Big vampire and werewolf fan, alright? Big Castlevania fan. This reminds you a lot of Castlevania. I think I watched the Bloodlust movie. From the opening scene, the gothic aesthetic, how dark it all is. It reminds me of Castlevania and Spawn put together at times. I was hooked. D, the Dunpeel Hunter, the hybrid, is a badass. He's got infinite aura. Of course he does. The visuals, the creatures, the amount of lore that's stacked into this. I don't even know about half the shit that's going on. This is a vampire with a talking hand, literally a talking hand, and it still got me into it. The villains are not as villainous as you may think. There's some complex shit happening here. I love the visuals of this. I think that's what really gripped me the most, more than anything else. Like, this is a movie about a vampire hunter chasing a vampire who's trying to bang a chick, basically. And there's a rocket that ends up going into space at one point in the film, too. Like, it's... all that shit happens in this film. And you know what? I enjoyed it all while it was happening. Attack on Titan. Look, made a whole video on this. This was tough to get through in the first few episodes. Fuck it, the first season even. But the reveals that happen in this, the creatures that are in, the lore, is insane. It has one of the craziest twists I've ever seen in anything, in any story in fiction. When you find out what's really going on, what's wrong with this city that's guarded by these walls, what the nature of the Titans really are, and where they come from. It's insane. The main character, you might as well call it what it is. This is kind of like a villain origin story. He's not like a traditional hero. You know, like he has like a Dune Messiah, Paul Atreides arc a little bit in this too. And I love it. I love seeing character transformations like this. A cute, innocent little kid turning into a fucking savage by the end of the show. And the lore. I have to mention this as one of the things that's completely changed my perspective on anime, because I don't sit through anime. That's not something I do. I'm not that kind of person. Attack on Titans made me sit through it for 4 seasons because the premise and the characters were just that good. Monster. Look, I'm finishing Monster up right now, and all I'm going to say is maybe the only grounded, realistic show that doesn't have fantasy elements out of the things I've listed here. Actually, no, there's one more. This show has one of the greatest villains ever. If you're a monster fan, you know this. Anyone who's talked about this knows this. If there's one thing you can cite about this show that no one can question, it's how badass Johan is as a villain. This motherfucker is different. And you know what? Just like Judge Holden from Blood Meridian, this guy's going to be very hard to adapt in a live action format if they ever decide to do that one day. He's that level of dark and brutal. You can't characterize him in the normal way you would for traditional villains. This isn't like a psychopath. This isn't a Texas Chainsaw Massacre slasher. This isn't even a Hannibal Lecter. Even though I will say Hannibal from the show Hannibal, Mads Mikkelsen's Hannibal, is the only villain I know that comes close to this character when it comes to anything that can be compared to him. That's what I love about the show. Look, it's a very slow burn. There's like, what, 70-something episodes, and it can be tough to get through at times, I'll be honest, man. Because Johan is the most interesting part of the show, and he's not in it a lot. He's in it in spurts. It's like a cat and mouse game between him and the main characters. I do love the main character Tenma in this. But there's a lot of different characters and different stories the show goes to. Some of it can be filler. Some of it can be very slow paced. It can be I will say the first half of the show is, in my opinion, more riveting than the second half. But the final few episodes of the second half, the final few episodes of the show in general, are fucking insane when you realize what Johan's plans really are. Now here are the ones that shocked me to my core, because I was recommended Monster a lot. I knew that shit was going to be good going into it, because there were people I trusted that recommended this to me. But the ones I'm about to mention are the ones that I had no words for, alright? Berserk. Look, again, another show I've made a video about, because I wouldn't say I was traumatized, but this is one of the shows that gave me no closure. And I think part of that is because the story itself hasn't even ended yet, I'm pretty sure. I watched the Golden Age arc, a 1992 show, because there's many reboots of it or whatever. This is like the best one-season story I've seen in the animation format, easily. Guts is one of the most badass main characters ever. I believe this actually has one of my favorite couples in fiction ever, Guts and Casca. I really loved them together, and I was rooting for them to get together the entire show. And when they did, it's a great payoff. Griffith, another one of these villains. He's a hard one to surpass. I would still say I like Johan more as a villain, but Griffith is a great fucking villain. He is so good. This dude in the show has a cult of personality around him, right? He's got so much aura. So many people look up to him and respect him despite him doing some very questionable things, that he tricks people. And even fans of the show, fans of Griffith, are also pulled into the personality. I've seen people unironically, literally, defend some of the stuff he does. And it weirds me out a little bit. But my lord, if that's not an indication of how fucking badass your villain was and how well written he was, I don't know what else to say. And the ending of the show is the craziest ending I think I've ever seen in my life. It's so brutal. When that blood moon rises and he holds out the Behelit necklace, it's freaking terrifying, man. It's tricky. I don't want to spoil anything, because I'll be honest, the parts of this ending were spoiled to me as a little kid. I saw some visuals of some molestations occurring as a kid. My cousin turned a YouTube clip on or something when we were kids, and I saw it. And since then, I was like, what was that? What was that scene I saw? And hence I watched Berserk, and I was like, oh shit, that's what I saw. That's insane. My face was this during the scene. This reaction says it all. Even I was like, what the fuck? Oh, hell no, man. Crazy stuff, man. Let me say something, alright? Time travel has been done in varying levels of quality throughout film, right? From Back to the Future to Avengers Endgame. Some of them work out, some of them don't. But there's one anime that does time travel. I think maybe the best I've seen, maybe or close to it at least. Probably one of my favorite instances of time travel being used. Steins Gate. Steins Gate, in my opinion, is kind of like a love story cosplaying as like a science fiction time travel show. Because it is a time travel show. That's what it is. But just like Guts and Casca, I think these two, again, kind of make up my favorite romance duo of all time. Basically about these characters that figure out how to send messages to themselves in the past. And that can change, changes world lines. This kind of follows the rules of, if you change something in time, a new timeline branches out. And it'll keep going that way, But all timelines kind of tend towards fate. Fate. And it's about trying to stop that. And our characters going on a journey and facing the consequences of changing time. And it's amazing. it's by the end of the show, I was shook. I was like, God damn, man. See, I couldn't even understand what I was watching half the time, to be fair. But when you go back and start to notice certain details, it's a well done show, man. Steins Gate's great. There are things that happen in the first few episodes that you won't even understand. It's, again, a lot of these animes have slow starts, but when you get into it and when you realize what's going on, it's a great payoff. This goes from kind of a fun, kiddie kind of atmosphere that's bright and vibrant to dark psychological fucking thriller where real shit's going down, and it gets to that really fast. The tone shift happens at neck break speeds. Number 1, my friend said that there was a theatrical release of this anime movie, and he said you need to watch it. Find it online. It's old, very, very old. I think it was like in the 80s or 90s. And I did. And all I'm gonna say is, Perfect Blue is one of the best pieces of anime, best films I've ever seen in my life. This is a movie. Dark psychological thriller doesn't even begin to describe what this film is. This has literally influenced many films that I've seen, like The Black Swan, many more. When I was watching this, I'm like, oh shit, there's a lot of movies that literally took influence from this. When you're watching, this is about a singer, basically, who decides to, like, retire from singing, her singing career, and become an actress. You see the fallout from that. You see that certain fans don't want her to change. Some obsessive fans. And she starts to get stalked. And you don't know if it's all in her head, if she's hallucinating. You don't know what the hell is going on. And I guarantee you won't be able to predict what really is the twist at the end of this. Because when the reveal does happen, and you find out what's actually going on, what's been happening, why these crazy, dark, brutal events have been happening in her life, you'll never see it coming. In my opinion, you'll never see it coming. When I was watching this, I had 50 different theories about what was happening. And each one of them got proven wrong. I couldn't believe it. That's Perfect Blue, man. The best thing that anime has given me recently. But all these are great. They all changed my perspective on anime. I'm gonna finish up Monster because I'm on the precipice of this shit. I'm gonna make a video on Johan for sure. I'm gonna start Neon Genesis next, probably. I think that's the one. That's the one that's catching my interest the most. There's also Psycho-Pass, which is another one. Yeah, those are the animes that completely changed my perspective on anime itself. Bye, ladies and gentlemen. We are on a mission to take over Hollywood. But the army must keep growing. If you want to suggest video topics to me, or talk about your favorite movies or favorite film theories in a community with like-minded individuals, join the Zafy Discord now. Link is in the description and the comment section as well. Join us. This movement is just beginning. We're taking over Hollywood, one coke line at a time.